Yeah, good day, YouTubers. Just doing a quick video of an issue I've come across. I've had some magnetic brake levers that you fit as normal to the BBSHD in this case it's a Shimano XT Diori M8000 like brake lever and assembly and all the setup with it. So specifically the brake cutoffs and how they've over a series of time they've actually come off. So what I've done is this sensor here, this magnetic sensor here, arrow like that to the actual bottom of the brake lever. There you go, it's a bit of a picture. So there's the brake sensor there, and then normally I had the N52 Neodymium magnets arrowed to the bottom of this brake lever itself. It worked fine for a few 100 kilometers, but of course I ride constantly off-road on rough terrain, gravel and potholes and all that. Generally what happens, this sensor's okay, but the magnets break off the arrodite that attaches to the lever. So what I've done is I've come up with a custom bracket. I'm just trying to get the focus, guys. Yeah, custom bracket which I've bolted, put a nut and bolt, drilled a 2.5mm hole through this lever in the area obviously that's not affected anyway. Okay, it will weaken it slightly, but you're talking about hydraulic brakes, man. It takes you one finger to activate the brake, so it's not going to stress it at all. 2.5mm hole's not big. So yeah, you need the 2.5mm hole through there, and then you pass it through, put a nut and bolt at the bottom. Come on, focus, buddy. There you go. And then I used a bit of angle iron. So that angle iron I used, or it's an angle iron, 30mm wide, the angle iron, and then I just cut down the sides, not completely because you don't want to lose the strength out of the angle iron, but just cut down the sides enough to make it look nice on the bike. And then I attached the Neodymium magnets with the an M2.5 countersunk screw and lock nut. And what I used to do that was just everything I do, man, to my bike is just basic hand tools, man. Yeah, so that's what I used. Aluminium angle. Jeez, come on, focus, dude. Yeah, so what is it? 12 by 12 by 1.4. You won't need much of that. Like I said, I made that 30mm long, and then I come in 5mm for the top. Come in 5mm for the top bolt on the angle line, and then I've based it around about everyone's going to be it's going to be independent to your positioning of where you've glued your brake sensor, but in this case yeah, it's around about the 20mm apart, 23, I think it's about 25mm apart between, no sorry, 18mm apart from this bolt, from that bolt hole to this bolt hole. Yeah, and here's an example here of what it looks like without shaping the aluminium. It's just an angle iron aluminium at the moment, set to the right distance and drilled through there. You can see the Neodymium magnet bolted to it, the two of them bolted to it. So just like a 10mm round magnet with a countersunk hole through the middle of the magnets, and I'll put two of them together. And then what I'll do is I'll get a scriber or an outline pen and shape this to suit the lever, both parts of the angle line, and then file it back and then paint it black. And like when it's done, you can see how nice that looks on the bike. You can hardly see it, and then when I activate it, So yeah, it works nice. Yeah, so if anyone has that issue of where their brake levers either a double-sided tape or Aridite and the magnets keep falling off, well, this is the solution that I found that works well. And not only do you have adjustability here by this knob, you've also now got adjustability on this arm because you've got a single bolt. You tighten it up pretty tight, but you can still move it when you need to for adjustment. Even without tools, you could probably move it a fraction if it was not engaging properly. So there's 2 points of adjustment now, both at this pivot point or that pivot point, and also on the brake lever itself. So I hope to help someone, guys, but it was annoying me for a while because even though I'd rough those surfaces up with sandpaper and then Aridite the magnet on, just through the rough terrain, man, you know, hitting potholes or hitting ruts or rocks, and it just over time, it just used to vibrate off and fall off. It took a, 6 months or something, but sick of trying to glue it back on, and you got hardly any adjustment to glue it in the correct position, so it's very difficult. But now where I made those brackets, you got a whole lot of adjustment. So yeah, these are the magnets I was using before. I had two 10mm N52 magnets, and I was ariditing that to the brake lever. And like I said, even though I roughed up that surface and the brake lever surface aridited on, it still come off eventually after like 6 months. And now I'm using that same 10mm by about 3mm, oh, maybe 5mm wide, and it's got like a countersunk M4 hole in it. Join two of those together and give it more magnetic, greater magnetic field, so that the sensor operates easier. And so once I get the bracket, happy with the bracket like I showed you previously, I marked around the angle bracket. So that hole there represents your mounting hole, and that's your cutaway on that side. And then this side, I shape around the magnet itself, so you can see that side, shape of the magnet, and it sort of represents there on this side. So yeah, just shaped around there, and remove that material, but be careful not to leave some of the right angle left on the actual angle line itself. If you take it right back to the edge, you'll have no strength in the sideway direction. So make sure you leave a tiny bit on the angle line, about 5mm there, and also around about the 5mm there. Okay, there's the finished little brake cutoff bracket. Like I said, it's out of a right angle, but it's all folded up, smoothed out just before painting, and then I'll paint it and I'll show you quick afterwards. With regards painting, because it is winter here, I really can't paint with epoxy paint, so I'm just using the this DIY Mark V10 paint marker. Really good paint marker. I wouldn't recommend for big jobs, but tiny jobs like that, especially when it's too cold to paint properly and during winter, this is definitely an option. So I'll show you the aftermath once I paint it up. Alright, brackets all painted up with the DIY marker pen, the paint pen. It's not the best paint job in the world, but once it goes on that bike, you'd barely see it, you know what I mean? Obviously, if it was warmer, I'd paint it with edge primer, then epoxy being aluminium, but if that wears off, I'll redo it, but I think that'd be fine. It's not really subject to any major mechanical damage or anything, so. Okay, this part of the video, I'm just going to do a quick how-to video of how I set up the brake sensors, the brake sensor cutoff limits. This can be done both on the BBSHD standard screen and setup, or the high voltage kit with the BBSHD. The thing with the high voltage kit, as opposed to the standard screen for the BBSHD, the high voltage kit doesn't have brake sensor indicators on the egg rider display. The screen is just too small to support the actual indicators when you hit the brakes, but the standard display does for the BBSHD. So this is really just showing you how to set up these brake cutoff limits and the free play before you actually touch the brakes for the front and back. But I usually use the front brake as my clutch, so it frees up my right hand to run the to operate the gears. So yeah, so this is really just about HV kit, and by using the high voltage app under live dash, you'll go down to the voltage brake voltage indicators in the app, and you'll be able to see as I pull the brake in, only by about a quarter. So just now I've pulled it into that quarter section, and it's broken the indicator, or it's broken the circuit, so it reads 0. So just by doing this, I can use as, like I said, I can use it as a clutch in between gear changes. Also, it takes the load off my chain, my sprockets, the whole drivetrain really, and prolongs the lifespan of my of all the teeth, chain, sprockets, and also takes the load off the motor when you're off and on load when you're changing gears. So it's and that's the other thing too. You can't run. The only downside with the HV kit that I've found, there's plenty of upsides, but one downside I've come across is there's only one brake output. So you're going to run a Y splitter, and the BBSHD had 2 brake outputs. So if you run a Y splitter, you had 3 outputs, right? One for each brake, and then the third one for a gear sensor cutoff, which I've still got on there, but I can't use. So that's the reason why I'm using the front brake as a clutch. So I've got one. HV kit only comes with 1 brake output. So that means you've got to run a Y harness to run the 2 brake cutoffs, and you'd have to run a second Y harness, sorry, to run the gear sensor. But I didn't want to do that; it was too messy. So I ran 1 splitter, so I had both brakes. Therefore, I'm using the brake as a clutch to cut the motor, the same way a gear sense would work on a standard BBSHD. But I manually do it so I can have it as open as long as I want. So it's actually better in a way to run that clutch scenario setup than a gear sensor, because the gear sensor is very quick. Unless your gears are pinpoint accurate, which is not always the way when you go for rides through dusty environments and that, or you don't service them so often, this way is better. So anyway, I hope that helped someone out. Probably some more videos to come, but yeah, just another quick how-to video.